This is a big meal.
I want to welcome all of you to the White House Correspondents Association dinner.
The night when Washington celebrates itself. Somebody's got to do it. The Supreme Court ruled that the donor who gave Ted Cruz $6 million was just exercising free speech.
Yeah, it's the kind of speech like this. I just wasted $6 million.
He has released the black ink.
Now that's a legacy. And Donald Trump is here. Still.
Your gray hair is at 85%. Your hair is so white now, it can talk back to the police.
The White House Correspondents Dinner.
What is this thing?
Welcome to America.
Starts right now. The show is not yet rated.
I'm John Berman. The annual White House Correspondents' Dinner is underway. They are eating, folks. Eating right now inside that room behind us. Once they finish eating, the president gets his chance to do his last stand-up comedy routine before that glittering audience of Washington and Hollywood stars. It is a fundraiser for journalism scholarships and a chance to recognize excellence in reporting, but it's also about people watching. People in that room watching each other, us watching them watching each other. Let's take a look at some of the best moments from the red carpet.
What do you think the party will look like if Donald Trump wins?
Well, we're going to...
Yeah, exactly. Do you think President Obama tonight will be tough on Donald Trump again, or do you think he's learned his lesson?
Next year, Donald will be delivering the laughs and the punchlines.
While I don't back his philosophy or his thoughts, his governing style, his presence, his comportment, his hairstyle, there's nothing I really agree with him on, but I'm grateful that he was in the race. I really am, because he got people engaged.
Listen, the man's got the greatest sense of humor in the world. Believe me, he'd be doing the exact same thing. It will certainly be fun, and we'll be doing this next year. I mean, we will be here next year. I'll have a good time. Maybe he'll give me some more material I can recycle on my father when we're together alone.
I'm just curious how you're holding up under the stress of Donald Trump.
I'm holding. Look, do I look like I'm holding up? I'm holding up perfectly for him. One of the judges,
All right, as we wait for the president to deliver his speech, we've assembled an amazing lineup of experts that talks politics, history, fashion, comedy, and more. You know, we haven't talked much fashion, I have to say that. Maybe we'll pick out the best room, best dresses, best tuxes, best everything in that room. There's Larry Wilmore right now. Larry Wilmore went for the necktie. And he's
Michelle Obama, though, she looked amazing. Every year she looks amazing. Every event, State of the Union, Correspondents Dinner, she looks amazing. But tonight, her outfit was especially ravishing.
And Larry Wilmore talking to Major Garrett, also of Fox News. Oh, there's Jake Tapper, CNN's chief Washington correspondent, host of State of the Union. He went for the bow tie. Larry Wilmore went for the necktie. Jake Tapper went for the bow tie. And amazingly, unusually for Jake, no food on his clean white shirt. All right, we were talking about expectations for the evening. This is the final White House Correspondents' Dinner for President Obama. You know, I think the bar is high, mostly because we've been on TV for 2 hours talking about how he's going to be funny. And he's got to meet that, and if he doesn't meet it, people will say he wasn't funny. But history, right? His last dinner, he wants to do it for posterity, Brad.
Absolutely. I mean, I will say this about the president, and this sounds like, you know, I worked for him because I did, but he brings his A game, right? I mean, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan-esque levels of bringing the A game. I think he's going to be great. I think it's going to be, you know, this is a little bit of a victory lap. This is a pretty incredible, consequential presidency. You may disagree on the direction the country's going. But by and large, this president has done so much in 8 years. This country has done so much in 8 years. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Steny Hoyer right there, the House Minority Whip right there. He was eating. He was invited. Even the minority in the Congress gets an invitation to this event. It's that equal opportunity. Mark Lamont Hill, Larry Wilmore talked. He is the host. He is delivering the comedy routine after the president. Larry Wilmore told me he is going the president has released the blacken.
Absolutely. And he's going to point out how black the president has become. There's going to be a lot of race humor, lots of jabs, not just at the president, but the other field, the Republican field. It's going to be really interesting to watch Larry Wilmore do this. He had to fill in for Colbert. He filled very big shoes. Now he's filling in for Colbert's shoes at the Correspondents Dinner a few years ago. He gave a great performance. I think he's going to want to outstrip that one. He just might do it. This is his comfort zone. He's doing a great job at late night, but he's even better in settings like this. It'll be interesting to see what Larry does. You know, he does do comedy routines. He does do stand-up, but he's also just a man who's worked in comedy for a long time. I'm very, very excited to see his routine. One of the things that presidents have to do that comedians don't, former Mayor Michael Bloomberg of New York right there, he's working the crowd. He's talking to people. He's not running for president this time around, despite spending a lot of money polling to see whether he should run for president. People who are president, one of the things they have to do in this situation is gauge if jokes are going to tell, if they are appropriate or not. And sometimes what's going on in the world dictates whether they're appropriate or not. David Axelrod talked to CNN. He explained how President Obama once had to remove one of his jokes. Let's listen.
I was actually in the White House the day of the dinner in 2011. I had left the staff, but I came back to work on jokes. We were going through jokes with the president, including one about Tim Pawlenty, who was running for president. And the joke was, poor Tim Pawlenty, he had such promise, but for that unfortunate middle name, Bin Laden. And it was really a play on the president's middle name, Hussein. But the president got to that joke and he said, Bin Laden, Bin Laden. He said, that's so yesterday. Let's take that out.
Tim Pawlenty. He seems all-American, but if you heard his real middle name, Tim Hosni Pawlenty, what a shame.
And then we found out the day after that he had already ordered the raid that would end bin Laden's life. That will always loom in my mind as one of the most memorable moments that I've spent with him.
Very, very interesting. Good reason to take out the bin Laden joke if you're in the middle of a raid right now to kill Osama bin Laden. Buck Sexton, you know, it's a different time right now. Is there any subject, do you think, that's off limits for the president tonight?
I think there are some areas where you won't see jokes. I think that given, though, some of the obvious areas that we can see, we're in the midst of a very... to call it a colorful primary would be to do it, I think, not enough. You would not be really giving it a fair description. So I think that there's so much room to run with that. You will probably get nowhere near some of the topics that, I could rattle off as anyone could, that would be things you wouldn't want to make jokes about. I think that this is it's a target-rich environment in the best kind of way. I also think that you have a unique circumstance with a president who is gifted at presentation. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't support his politics or his policies, but he is gifted at presentation. A president who's speaking to a room full of people who, both on the Hollywood side and on the media side, are very much, generally speaking, in favor of him. He's making jokes about it himself, that they all voted for him. So you have a very favorable crowd. You have a guy with a lot of skills. Whoever is the president the next go-around, and he's also had a few times at the plate with this, whoever's the president the next go-around, it's going to be quite different, I have to say, especially if you see Hillary Clinton, who may have a lot of support from the same Washington press corps. But I don't think anybody would ever say that that she has quite the same gifts of presentation as Barack Obama.
Few do. Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden right now talking to, I believe that's Jason Rezaian right there, the back of Jason Rezaian, the Washington Post reporter who was in prison in Iran for so long, who is now free, now at this dinner. He will be handing out some awards tonight. I think this is a great picture to see. It's a reminder, Kate, I think, of what this dinner is supposed to be about, which is journalism. It's scholarships for funding for journalism, a celebration for what's important about our business, and Jason Rezaian represents that.
Yeah, and they're giving out, I think it's $100,000 worth of scholarships to aspiring journalists. And I think really the point of this whole dinner is to support the White House Correspondents Association, which does great work for access. You know, Carol Lee, the president, makes sure that there are journalists in the room and photo sprays with the president in the Oval Office. It's a lot of kind of boring, people would think it's boring details of the job, which is really about granting credentials to people and making sure that there are always eyes on the president. And they especially want him to, any president, to make, statements when they're, for instance, when President Obama was in Saudi Arabia, he took questions, even though the other leaders didn't. And this is something they're always pushing for: more questions, more access, and it's a very important role they play.
Kayleigh McEnany, you were a Donald Trump supporter. Donald Trump right now leading the Republican field for president right now. People wondering what a Trump White House might look like if such a thing comes to pass, how he would treat the press. It's really interesting because he has a love-hate relationship with the press, right? He'll ask the cameras to turn around during an event. He'll sometimes have the audience boo the press that's there. Yet, here's a guy who rarely turns down an interview request. Access to him in some ways is greater than it's been with any presidential candidate I've seen. At the same time, I think there's a real worry among some in the press corps, particularly the White House press corps, that he may revoke credentials or he may try to control access. Which way do you think it'll go?
Definitely not trying to control access, because as you pointed out, he has given more access to various mediums than any presidential candidate in history. He was going on every Sunday talk show. He gave an hour to MSNBC's Chris Matthews, hardly a friend of the conservative cause. This is someone who has gone into enemy territory and done so frequently and done so often. So I think that really what Donald Trump has done is what this White House Correspondents' Dinner is all about. It started in 1914 when there were rumors that there was going to be a congressional committee that screened out some journalists and brought in others. And I think Donald Trump has really given access to a lot of people and embodies what this is about.
Will he do phoners if he's president? Like,
You never know. He might.
I hope he doesn't have a late-night tweets, because America will at least have that.
He's actually said if he is elected president, he may have to lay off the Twitter, which will be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if it's possible for him to do so. By that, I mean. All right, throughout the evening, we are asking you in the audience to weigh in on several subjects. Go to CNN.com/vote and tell us which topics the president should joke about tonight. 2016, Congress, the Republican Party, his birthplace, or cable news. Do not vote for cable news. Keep watching. You'll see the results live, real time across the bottom of the screen. If high fashion